What you're seeing here is a really interesting machine called the M1 Ultra, made by a brand called xTool. This is a multifunctional machine that can do some really cool stuff such as laser engraving on wood, plastics, metals like aluminum or stainless steel, ceramics, and even leather, just to mention a few. It can also laser cut through materials like colored acrylic, wood, and a bunch of other materials, in addition to also being able to print in full color on a bunch of different surfaces like paper, cardboard, wood, and even directly onto fabric. And we're still not done. This machine can also cut with knife blades through materials like paper, cardboard, fabrics, vinyl, and a lot more. Not only that, it can also draw incredibly detailed drawings with a pen attachment, as well as also having the ability to engrave directly onto round or spherical objects by using the right attachments. This versatility is what makes the xTool M1 Ultra into the ultimate DIY and home crafting machine. And in this video, we're going to see a bit more about what this machine actually has to offer, as well as some challenges I encountered as a first-time user of a machine like this. Before we get started on the review part, I just want to point out that xTool did send me this machine free of charge, along with a bunch of their accessories for me to test out. But everything I say in this video is going to be my own words and my own honest opinions. The machine I'm reviewing in this video is the xTool M1 Ultra 20-watt all-in-one bundle, which includes most of the available accessories you can get for this machine. I'll also be sure to leave a link in the video description to the exact bundle I'm using. What I really like about this machine is the fact that everything is pretty much ready to go right out of the box, like for example this laser module. All we need to do is to find this mount right here on the moving gantry and slide it down into the track of the machine and lock it into place. And the machine will then automatically know which module is installed. We can now do all kinds of laser tasks like cutting through stuff or engraving on various surfaces. When we're done with the module, we can simply remove it by lifting up the locking lever and drop into place another module, like for example this one, which can hold a variety of cutting blades to cut through thin materials like paper, fabric, vinyl, and a lot more. We can even combine the use of the cutting blade and the laser to, for example, create some really cool leather patches or even add a custom pattern to a piece of fabric, which can be the perfect base for your next sewing project. And maybe you want to send out some personalized wedding invitations or thank you cards to a bunch of people and don't want your wrists to get sore from all the handwriting? Well, just load up a pen and let the machine do it all for you, and you're guaranteed an identical result every single time. And if we swap out the cutting blade with the inkjet module and the pen with a fine point blade, we can now combine printing and cutting in one single go to create some custom colorful sticker sheets. And if paper stickers aren't enough, how about printing some vivid colors directly onto a piece of wood? Well, we can do all of that on this one machine. Now, getting started with this machine is super simple. Just like a car has a key fob, this machine also has a key in the form of a USB dongle. The machine also comes with a smoke exhaust module, which through this round filter will exhaust out the smoke and other gases that may be created during lasering. And the other end has to be fed either out of a window or into the back of xTool's own desktop air purifier, which allows you to operate the machine even in an environment with limited ventilation, because especially during lasering there will be a lot of smoke. Speaking of lasering, the laser module can also be accompanied by the Air Assist set, which is basically a tiny air pump that blows air out of this hole in the back through this plastic tube into the back of the machine. And the air actually comes out around the laser, kind of like the part cooling fan on a 3D printer. This accessory helps cool down the laser cut area immediately to get the cleanest possible cuts with the least amount of unnecessary burn marks. Another great accessory is the riser base, which adds a good portion of height to the machine to allow us to work on objects that are not thin and flat. By removing the bottom panel of the machine, we can now reveal the honeycomb mesh that comes with the riser base. This mesh can be adjusted for multiple height objects depending on the size of what you're working on. The extra height allows us to, for example, engrave directly onto this wooden box, and we can also completely remove the mesh to allow for really tall objects, like for example this 140mm tall ceramic flower pot, and I still had a little bit of room to go. The riser base is also a must if you end up getting the Rotary Attachment tool, as you will need that extra height to actually fit the rotary unit itself. Another benefit of the riser base is that when the riser base is not in use, it doubles as a storage area for all your smaller accessories while still keeping the upper portion of the machine fully functional for smaller jobs. To operate this machine, we are required to use xTool's own software called xTool Creative Space. The machine also has to be turned on and connected via USB to our PC the first time it's being used. All we need to do is to create a new project, then click Connect Device in the top drop-down menu. Once the USB connection has been made, we can click Device Settings, Basic Info, then scroll all the way down to finish setting up our Wi-Fi. And just like that, our machine is now ready to go wirelessly. Now, one of the features on this machine that will be used a lot regardless of what module is actually installed is the pinpoint positioning. To use this feature, we need to use the red laser cross projected from the gantry as a reference. Whenever we move the laser across the build area, the same red cross is going to move across our canvas inside the xTool Creative Space. All we need to do is click Mark Processing Area inside xTool Creative Space, then select what type of marking we want to do before moving the laser to one corner of our desired working area. If we now click plus on the front panel, it's going to store the location of this point inside the software. Next, we can move the laser across to the opposite corner and click the plus button again. What this does is saves two corner points and turns them into a rectangle frame that's now showing up on our canvas. This way we can easily know exactly where in the work area it's safe to place our design elements to ensure that they actually end up on our piece of MDF. Another cool feature in the xTool Creative Space is the ability to choose between tons of different presets for all kinds of materials. And most of xTool's own materials also come with these interactive pictures that you can click on specific shades to see exactly what settings were used for that shade. And if you want to use a brand new material that isn't on the list in the software, you can also create some custom material test arrays so you're able to find the perfect setting for any compatible material you choose in no time. Like for example this black coated metal card, you can see we get a bunch of different colors based on just the laser setting. Then it's just to pick your favorite shade and apply that to your bigger project. Now, the main module in this machine is the laser, and it actually comes in two different versions. They have a 10-watt version and a 20-watt version. When we want to do any kind of laser cutting where the beam will actually go through the material we're working on, it's important that the object isn't placed directly on the base plate to avoid burning into the coating. We can use this triangular prism holder to create some distance between the object being cut and the surface. The build area of this machine is 300 by 300 millimeters for the laser and a few millimeters smaller if using the inkjet or blade cutting tools. At 300 millimeters square, we have no problem fitting some really big materials into this machine. One thing that's very important to always remember before lasering on any surface is to measure the distance between the laser and the surface we want to work on. And this can easily be done within the xTool Creative Space. This measurement is then used for the laser to automatically calculate its focus point and adjust itself accordingly to ensure clean cuts and nice sharp engravings. Next, we have the xTool Creative Space app for your phone. Here you can upload projects to the machine wirelessly, much like the PC version. But we can also use a cool feature called Snapshot Preview. This opens up your camera and lets you take a picture of the build plate from above, which relies on these 4 dots along the inner edge of the machine to automatically align and scale the object with the machine's working area. This picture can then wirelessly be sent to your PC with one click, and you can start adding your preferred design while getting a preview of roughly how it's going to look. Then you can simply select the correct material preset or the preset closest to the material you have on your plate and work from there. When your design is ready to go, simply press Go to Process and the software will run some kind of pre-check and will automatically notify you if something isn't right. Overall, the machine and the software is just super easy to use, like for example when creating these custom mini prototype side panels for a PC case idea to get the end look result without actually going full scale. Another really cool and actually really time-saving feature is called batch fill, where if we have a bunch of identical materials we want to cut or engrave, we can just drop a bunch of them into our working area, then send a snapshot to our computer. On the computer, we can add our design to just one of the pieces before clicking batch fill. The software will then automatically detect other objects that look the same as the one we applied the design to, and the system is then gonna apply that same design to every single one of those identical objects. This allows us to create a bunch of identical parts without having to manually align everything, and we're left with all these identical pieces in no time. Let's move on from the laser and let's take a look at the inkjet module. This module actually uses a normal inkjet cartridge like you find in a normal typical color printer. Not enough with just the printing, it's also possible to both print and cut in the same job by adding a fine point blade in the holder next to the inkjet module. When doing any kind of blade cutting, we need to use one of these cutting sheets. The choice of sheet will depend on what material is being used. Both sheets have a sticky finish to ensure that whatever material is being cut is held securely in place. We can now just lean back and let the machine do its thing. And a few minutes later, we now have a full sheet of stickers ready to be stuck onto anything we'd like. It's also possible to make some functional stickers. Imagine if we wanted to sell this little 3D printed box on our Etsy store with some contents on the inside. With this machine, we can easily just import our sticker design into the creative space and have them made just the way we want before sticking them onto our product, and we now have some really cool looking custom packaging. My first ever sticker made on this machine was actually a machine upgrade, because every time we use the ink module, we need to remove this magnetic cover and place it in this little holder in the lower right corner. When the machine is done with the job, it's going to go down to this corner, pick up the cover and return to home. Now, not all prints come out perfect, but the overall quality is about what you'd expect from a basic inkjet printer, at least on paper. Where this module really impresses me is how well it can actually print on other surfaces than paper. For example, when printing out this cartoon onto a piece of plywood, I was really impressed by the actual vibrance of the colors and the print quality. Another area where this module really impressed was the detail when printing color onto fabric. I loaded up a few cartoons and was extremely impressed by how well this actually worked. It's like the fabric prints actually come out better than the paper prints. So of course I also had to try printing directly on a t-shirt. I loaded up a white t-shirt in the machine, and after a bit of careful positioning so it wouldn't get caught in any of the moving parts, I was ready to hit print. And the amount of details this machine was able to print directly onto the thick t-shirt fabric really blew me away. I also tested printing on a plain white shopping bag, again with really good results. And just like that, I now had some custom merch in no time. At least that's what I thought. The day after the t-shirt was printed on, it ended up in the laundry machine, and when it came back, it looked like this. To my big surprise, the t-shirt came out of the washing machine with just a trace of color left where the logo had been. After doing some research, I quickly found out that when printing ink on clothes, the ink has to be treated afterwards with high heat to actually stick to the fabric permanently. This heat treatment can be done with, for example, a heat press, which xTool actually offers, or for example with a household iron. Apart from the laser and the inkjet modules, we also have this multifunctional module that can hold a variety of different cutting attachments, like for example this rotary blade, which is ideal for cutting through stuff like leather or different types of fabric. With multi-module processing, we can actually combine these two functions by first cutting, then swapping to the laser module to engrave directly onto the piece of fake leather, leaving us with a really cool logo patch. Or you can even create custom patterns on the leather if you want to create an exclusive looking purse or wallet. We can also easily replace the rotary blade with other attachments like a normal knife blade or this foil transfer or embossing tip that can perform tasks such as gold foil transferring or embossing stuff into cardboard or paper. Next up, there's the pen attachment. The machine comes with a pack of pens with different colors, and these pens attach to the left side of the gantry, and here we can also combine two modules simultaneously. For example, with the knife blade in the multifunctional module and the pen on the left side. Together, these two modules can create all sorts of cool things, ranging from simple custom pen-written wedding cards to complex and detailed drawings on repeat with the same results every single time. Finally, we have the rotary attachment. Due to the height of this accessory, the riser base is required to be able to use it. The rotary attachment is a set of rollers that are motorized to allow for laser engraving on surfaces that are round, like for example this stainless steel insulated bottle. The rotary unit comes with a few adjustable attachments, like for example this adjustable bearing roller that can be used to compensate for stuff like for example the slightly convex shape of the steel bottle, and a small bubble level to ensure that the engraving surface is as straight as possible to get the most even results all around the object. The main rollers are also adjustable to compensate for different sized objects, and they can also be completely removed to instead use a chuck tool to clamp onto items from the inside or the outside. For example, when working on this plain black toothbrush holder, to create some really nice objects like for example this one. Now, the projects I've shown in this video so far are only the tip of the iceberg of what this machine is actually capable of. The goal of this video is to give whoever's watching a general idea of some of the things this machine can do without getting too deep into the more advanced projects. But every single one of the features shown can be expanded almost indefinitely and combined to create some really incredible things like some of the examples shown in xTool's own videos. Inside of xTool Creative Space, there's even a section called Design Find. Here we can find pages after pages of projects, both free and paid projects, with all the information you need to get going, like materials, settings, etc, etc. You can also upload your own projects here to share with others. Now, there's been a lot of positive talk about this machine, and even though it's an overall really good machine, I wouldn't want to post a review video without actually mentioning some of the downsides I've noticed after using this machine for a few weeks. The first being, while working, this machine can get quite loud, and even louder when using the desktop air purifier unit as well. Second is that the machine has no built-in camera, which means we have to rely on our phone and xTool's phone app to transfer pictures over to our PC to preview designs. Third, the sticky mats used for blade cutting get dirty really fast. Literally everything sticks to the mats, so all kinds of hair, dust, fabric pieces get stuck on the surface, which will eventually result in it losing its stickiness over time. However, a rag dipped in some water does quick work of cleaning up the surface, and if you have some hard to remove stuff, you can use a scraper to gently scrape it off. And after it dries up, the stickiness feels just like new again. One more thing worth pointing out is, trying to print black with the ink module results in a dark purple. This is mainly due to the fact that the machine only supports 3-color ink modules that do not have the actual black ink. I really hope xTool can consider adding support for a pure black ink module as well, if or when they see this video. Now, despite the few things I just mentioned, I'm still really amazed by what this machine can actually do. All the pros of this machine and what it can do clearly outweighs the cons in my opinion. It isn't perfect, but as perfect as it gets given how versatile it is and all the tasks you can throw at it. The 4-in-1 functionality is also great in terms of saving space, because instead of needing 4 independent machines each doing one individual thing, you can now have all of that in just one. As I said, the M1 Ultra isn't always perfect, but for the most part. I've definitely had a few failures while learning this machine, but after some fine-tuning of the settings, I was able to find something that worked with almost every material I tested. With xTool's own branded materials, I had pretty much no issues at all, and the material presets in the software were really good. Even though many of the projects shown in this review may seem very basic, I intend on doing some more complex projects on this machine in the coming months, where I will also combine the use of this machine with some 3D printed parts to create some really cool stuff. I'm currently working on a PC case design that's going to be a combination of plastic and wood panels. Hint. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel and leave a thumbs up on this video if you don't want to miss out on my upcoming projects. If you're already convinced after watching this video and consider buying one of these machines for yourself, there will be a link in the video description to the exact model and accessory bundle I was using for this review. The link is what's called a referral link or affiliate link, which basically means that at no extra cost to you, any purchase made through the link will result in a tiny commission for me, which again helps this channel stay alive and the projects keep coming. So I'd highly appreciate if you use my referral link if you end up making a purchase on xTool's website. Thank you so much for watching this review, and if you'll excuse me, I have some really cool projects to go work on. See you later!